Welcome to another episode of our Travel for Change interview series. My name is Jill Valentine. I am the founder of Yugo Impact, as well as the transformational travel coach. And I am here today with Bruce, who has come on two of our programs, and amazingly, two of the same program. He came on our Courage Community Kilimanjaro program back in 2022, and then loved it so much that he signed up again and joined us in 2024. For those of you that don't know, Hugo runs transformative travel programs that marry life coaching, volunteering abroad, and adventure to create just an amazing experience and journey within, where we also impact communities around the world. So Courage Community Kilimanjaro was a program. It's a 3-month coaching program where we do coaching as a group before we go. While we're in country, we spend a week volunteering with the Dare Women's Foundation. For the weeks that Bruce came in 2020, we helped to build the foundation and walls of a home on a piece of land. When we returned in 2024, we built a bathroom, a set of toilets, and a latrine for that. And so we do a week of volunteering, an amazing organization called Dare Women's Foundation. And then we spend a week climbing Kilimanjaro. We return home, and then we continue with additional coaching sessions to help people integrate everything that has come up and to take accountability and all of that kind of good stuff. So welcome, Bruce. Thank you so much for joining today. Would love for you to just, short introduction of who you are and what brought you to sign up for your first Yugo experience.
Well, my name's Bruce. I work in the electricity industry. I went to school for engineering, and I guess I always wanted to do something more with my life. I like to try to give back. I was part of Engineers Without Borders, and so going to Africa was certainly something that was on my bucket list, and climbing Kilimanjaro was also part of that. So the opportunity to do both in one trip was just too good to pass up. And I just correct you that it was 2022 the first time I went, just for if anybody's taking notes.
Yep.
And it's just been, well, I guess I'm going beyond the question now, but it was just an incredible experience. The coaching beforehand gets you really thinking about what you want to get out of the trip and what's really important to you in life. And then you're immersed in this completely different culture, different way of living, different way of doing things, and pushing yourself, particularly on the mountain, pushing yourself to your limits. And also, not part of the program, but we went on a safari with Maggie's Tours, which is run by Maggie, the same incredible person who runs Dare Women's Foundation, which is a really wonderful organization. I liked so much that I went again. One of the people I went with the first time wanted to go again, and so I said I would go with her.
Love it. I loved that you guys both came back. And interestingly, for those of you who don't know, Bruce and I actually go way back to the Yugo experience. We actually were in a band together back in, I think, the early 2000s. And so, literally like about 20 years later, we reconnected and Bruce joined. And so it was amazing to experience Tanzania again, to experience Tanzania with you and to have that experience. So where would you say you sort of were, either emotionally, even physically, sort of, where were you before you had your first or second Yugo experience?
Where was I? Well, as I said, I like to give back, and I was looking for ways to do more of that. And having moved out of Toronto to Bruce County, I lost touch with Engineers Without Borders. I was no longer part of that organization, unfortunately. And so I did some things. My partner here is a Rotarian, so I did some things with Rotary and Habitat for Humanity. But then, this opportunity came along. Jill, you just called me kind of out of the blue, and it was just the right timing.
What would you say is a moment that stands out as sort of one of the more powerful or unforgettable moments of your Yugo experience? And again, whichever one you'd like to.
I think one of the most powerful moments was dancing with the Maasai. And I remember thinking, and they were kind of singling me out because I had done some fundraising that helped to bring water to the site. And so they're kind of honoring me and you. And I remember thinking, how many people back home get to dance with Maasai in Tanzania? this is mind blowing.
Absolutely. I love that. I thought it was incredible that you did do that additional fundraising and brought water. And so you're true. I don't know how many people get celebrated and, honored that way. So that absolutely was such a beautiful, beautiful moment. What about, did you have any profound or unforgettable moments on the mountain?
There are certainly moments or feelings, let's say, on the mountain that you don't wish to have. It was quite challenging. And I remember at the end of one day, literally crawling into my tent thinking, well, that's it. I'm not going any further. Tomorrow, they're going to have to walk me off the mountain. And then the next morning, I laced up my boots and I kept going. And I remember thinking, just because something is impossible yesterday doesn't mean it's impossible today.
I love that. That is actually a really, really beautiful lesson. That's, yeah, amazing. And I imagine that was the first time up the mountain. Is that correct?
Correct.
Awesome. So, what would you say surprised you most about your Yugo experience, whether it was the place, the people, or yourself?
I think it was the people that I traveled with, the tightness of the bond. I mean, the people I met there are also wonderful, wonderful people, and I'm still in touch with Maggie, and I hope to remain her friend for as long as we're both on this earth. But also the unexpected thing was forming really tight bonds with the people I was traveling with.
I love that. And it's funny, I just like earlier today interviewed both Barbara and Jill. Similarly, they talked so much about and a part the unexpected but the bonding and the people that they traveled with and how they just were like you're bonded for life when you go through an experience like that, the giving, the sharing through the coaching, and then obviously the mutual struggle on the mountain. So I love that definitely I do find with our programs is one of the things people often come back and are surprised by the depth of connection and community that they feel. So I love that. How did the group dynamics of the program sort of impact your journey?
Well, there certainly are group dynamics. There's people within the group that you gravitate towards more than others. But in the group sessions, what other people have to say adds to the experience when you're exploring. You're doing the life lessons and things like that. And these other people have their own lives and their own wealth of experience, and they were all thoughtful people who had things to say, and then you kind of add that to what you were already thinking or what you said, and it definitely adds a whole lot to it, more than just if I had done coaching sessions with you without ever leaving home.
Yes, definitely. And actually, interestingly, someone else was sharing similar that idea. Like, it's just different people are bringing different perspectives, their own journey, and being able to share that just enriches your journey. Like it just added so much more, I think, to connect on that deeper level, to hear what other people were experiencing, maybe while you were experiencing joy, someone else was experiencing struggle or vice versa. And just to sort of hear, like, I definitely think that each time I go and just hearing about, how people's days unfolded, we all sort of feel like we had the same experience, but people will just have such different perceptions and different, experiences, whether it's the mountain or the volunteering. So yeah.
And as well as you mentioned, like one person might be struggling while the other is, but also you could both be struggling at the same time. I am very open. It's one of my life missions to be open about my mental health, and that allowed other people in the group. I know at least one person in the group said to me that they were more comfortable being open about their mental health struggles because of me.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's incredible. And I do commend you because you do just share very openly and vulnerably. And so, thank you for that. Because I think when that sort of tone is set within a group, it does allow and creates more space for others to step in and share just as vulnerably. So yeah, I love that. And I think the friendships like, that form. And I think what I also found that support that happens, like you said, so, like I said, sometimes people are having a great day and others are struggling. And I just felt it allowed them, like one day you might be helping someone and the next day you're asking for their help. And I just felt it was a very beautiful sort of, relationship of just everybody really supporting each other through the whole experience. So yeah, I love the groups that end up coming. And I always feel, Barbara said earlier, that it was brought up in the coaching that the people that come with you on the trip are meant to. Like they're there for a reason. It's the right group that comes together. And I felt that in both cases we had just two incredible groups of people come together.
And when my partner and I were in England, we sought out Laura, who I had
Oh,
traveled with.
yeah.
And I've been recently thinking I need to make a trip to the West Coast to see people out there that I traveled with.
Yeah, and I'm actually getting to see Laura tonight. Apparently, she's in Toronto, and so I'm gonna
Oh,
catch up
wonderful.
with her and Celia. So yeah, it's just amazing, and it'll probably feel like no time has passed, when we catch up. So, did you happen to have a moment, on either of the experiences where something really clicked for you, like a shift in perspective or a personal breakthrough?
I was thinking about this, and I'm not sure if it happened during the program or after, but I definitely came away feeling a lot more comfortable in my own skin, a lot more sure of myself. And because of the tight bonds with the group of that I traveled with, and we all accepted each other fully. And the people you meet in Tanzania are just lovely, wonderful people, and also totally accepting. And so at some point after I came back, I was like, I don't need to be anything more than I already am to be worthy. And that just changed. Like, I really got a lot more relaxed and less anxious in my whole life. And, at work, being able to just go, it's just work, realizing that there's so much more to life that's important than work, than throwing myself more fully into my leisure activities that really fill my bucket.
I mean, it's funny. My next question was going to be, how has your life changed? And it's sounding like, there was a shift in perspective as to what's a priority and where to put your attention and focus, as well as just feeling more, it sounds like at peace with who you are. Would you say there was any other sort of changes or impact to you upon returning?
And well, related to that is just a lot more self compassion, but I guess also understanding uh, the importance of if you're going to set goals, then living with intention, right? I think that's probably I've probably taken those words directly from your program. That things we want to happen don't happen by accident. We have to live with intention.
Yeah. Oh, obviously, I'm a big believer in intentionally living. Like, just if you want something more, make more of it. If you want something less, shut it down. Like, just being intentional, creating a life that you absolutely love living. We have that hashtag, wherever you go, there you are. And people come on our programs and they're just so happy and all the things while there, and then they kind of come home, and it's always like, how do you bring that back? And like you said, it's the intentionality. It's like being intentional instead of coming home and just rolling back into your familiar routine life. It's being intentional and thinking, what shifts can I make either within myself or within my world and life to foster the things that bring me joy and happiness, which it sounds exactly like you did, just making more time for your hobbies and all of the things like that. So I love that. Yeah, intentionality is really, really important. So, what do you think has stayed most with you from the experience? Something you think about often?
Yeah, I think about often. I guess, as I said, I do think about self acceptance, um, and but also I think about Maggie and Dare Women's Foundation and Maggie's tours and all the amazing things she's doing. And I send her WhatsApp messages from time to time, and she always replies. And it's wonderful to have that connection with
Well,
somebody who's practically a world away.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, something that has stayed with you has been the relationships. And Maggie is a formidable, incredible, human. And yeah, I feel the same. Sometimes when life gets crazy, and I always think, like, "Oh, I wonder what they're all doing, over there, like singing and dancing, especially if I'm in some sort of place like that just feels stuffy or whatever. And I just think, oh man, I wonder if they're having a great time laughing like as they do and just really enjoying life. So yeah, that Maggie and the mamas and everything definitely is something that's often top of my mind. What was your favorite moment? I know it's probably hard to pin one down, but your
Well, I did give this some thought. It's not necessarily one moment, but my favorite thing was the dancing. Just like they don't need musical instruments. It's just like turn a bucket upside down and you start dancing. And it just creates this positive energy and releases stress. And I know when we were there, we joked about like, imagine if our meetings at work could start out with a few minutes of dancing.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm actually seeing a bit more of a movement around like like dancing at coffee shops in the middle of the day and just trying to infuse it more. So it's not like, oh, it's a night out at a club, but just more kind of, and trying to start your day with a dancing. Or I'm lucky, I have a 10-year-old who likes singing and dancing, so I feel I get it on a more regular basis than I used to. But yeah, I feel our society doesn't sing and dance enjoy as much as they do in other parts of the world. And yeah, I love just how free they are and how frequently they do it. And then
And
it
the fact
just
that what I enjoyed anyways is the fact that you just move your body. You don't have to dance a certain way. I mean, I am actually doing some dance lessons with my partner, but I'm finding it really difficult.
yes, choreographed dance is very different than just freestyle, but that's really awesome. That's so lovely that you're doing that. So, I mean, kind of my final question is, what would you say to somebody who is considering, taking this kind of a leap to join a program like this, whether it's a Yugo program or just something that's kind of a big adventure like experience, or the opportunity to dive deep and get to know themselves? What sort of advice would you share with someone who's considering that?
Do it, do it. But to elaborate, our regrets in life usually are around things we didn't do. Doing something like this with Yugo is an experience that will live with you and stick with you for the rest of your days. And I wish that I had done it when I was 25 or 22 or something, but still I got to do it, and that's the important thing.
I love that you share that. I think that's part of my why in creating Yugo is I felt I spent so many years uncertain of who I was, sort of not living intentionally, happily. Life was on autopilot. And, I finally figured things out when I took a coaching program that helped me learn who I was, and spent time living abroad in Uganda, away from sort of my routine, familiar life. And those two things together were so transformative. And I too often think, man, if I'd had this program in my 20s, my life would have taken an entire different trajectory. But I also think, I've gone on, obviously my own programs, but I've also gone on other people's transformative programs. And each time I go, it continues to shift and change me. So I'm kind of like, okay, maybe I didn't do it in my 20s, but I'm now signed up that, I want to keep pushing myself, keep exploring who I am and what I can, how I can impact the world and stuff. But I fully agree. It's why I created this, so that people can, live lives of intentionality and joy and happiness and contribution that most of us wish we had figured out in our 20s. And 20-year-olds are more than welcome to join, though we do seem to get a slightly older demographic. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I am so happy to know how this, both of the programs impacted you. It was amazing to have you back for round number 2. Hopefully, you'll join us on a future program. And we've got Peru in the works. We're looking at Nepal next year. I don't know that you'll be signing up for our Kili one next year. Not sure that you are up for Tanzania 3 times in a row, but it would be amazing to have you.
Yeah, I do want to go back and see Maggie.
You never know. Awesome. Well, thank you. Do you have anything else before I wrap up that you would like to share about your experience or transformation?
I think you touched on it, that being removed from your daily routine is a critical part of the journey. If you're still going to your job or you're still going home at night, you still got all those things on your mind. But being removed from all that and being fully immersed in it is a critical part of the process.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why travel is so powerful. It's not even just where you're going to, and all of the sights and sounds and activities. There's a big transformative part in that you are removed from your routine, from your familiar, from your obligations, expectations. I have people come on the trips and they're like, I didn't have to be a mom, and I didn't have to plan dinners, and I wasn't an employee or a partner or a daughter. Like, I just got to show up and be me and be very, very present, which most of us don't get the chance, to do in our lives. So I love that you brought that up. I think travel is so powerful because it gets us away and literally takes us to a place where we see things from a whole different perspective. I often say there's only so much possibility you're going to see when you're sitting on your couch. Like, it's hard to imagine what's possible for yourself when you're on your couch looking at all the same stuff. When you take yourself to the top of the mountain, to another part of the world, to a place where people live so drastically different from you, suddenly your eyes open to just what's really possible in this world and in our life. So I love, love, love that you brought that up.
And shout out to my partner who said, I think you'll get more out of it if I don't come with you. And she was right.
Yeah, that's amazing that she had that wisdom and selflessness to say, go and, take 2 weeks away. That's an amazing partner that recognized, that, yeah, things you don't necessarily get the same experience if a partner comes with you. I mean, it can certainly be an amazing experience as a partnership, but if you are looking for very inner solo work, then yes, having your partner can definitely change things. So yeah, Jen sounds like an incredible partner and spouse. So amazing.
She is.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today and sharing. It was such a pleasure to have you. Tanzania both times, hopefully we'll return again, whether it's with us or you head back, on your own and visit Maggie. Yeah, like you said, the people really made a difference. And I'm so blessed and honored to be able to lead trips and get to connect and make lifelong bonds with people like yourself and others. So thank you for sharing so much with us today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for talking to me, and thank you for facilitating these amazing trips.
Awesome. Well, thank you. All right.